Hello, it's Josh here. I thought I would record a video preview for today's stab, which is in the 8 p.m. at air this evening. Mustaqbal, who went into the notebook when kind of researching some hot form using the horse race based hot form tabs, etc., as I've demonstrated in previous videos. And yes, I suppose I should start by focusing on said race, which was Pontefract. This is the hot form race. 15 horses have run since, 5 of them have won, 6 of them have placed. I'm flipping over to Gigi's here, obviously. And yeah, you can kind of see uh, the form here. Angel's Whisper, who I know the owner of her, and he had a good week. So he also has a share in Really Super, or was part of our syndicate, and she won again last week. And Harry George for Brian Ellison won on his next 2 starts, so he was clearly well handicapped. He was just ahead of Mustaqbal, and there's horses in behind as well who have won a couple of times also. So this race is turning into a kind of hot race for the grade. It was a 4-year-old plus handicap, of course, no lightly raced unexposed 3-year-olds, which is the niggle today, but the price has lured me in. So that's Mustaqbal in terms of the hot form race. That was my way in. When looking at this Gigi's race card, there's the report angles, which are very informative and decent. So you can see the hot form race here, and yeah, how those horses have done. Michael Dodds is in form in the last 14 days, 8 from 32, 11 places, and as our trainer and jockey, and they did a good turn for us with Joal at the weekend. So the yard are in form. The horses ran last time as if he's in form. He was kind of kept on going to the line, and he may well have needed it. The other, well, one of the reasons he went into the notebook as well as that hot form. When I looked at it, if I jump over to horse race base, because this is a good way of highlighting kind of the horse's form against today's conditions, which are highlighted in the yellow bar. As you can see, the distance is fine. The ground, the times at air yesterday, they didn't have much rain overnight. The times yesterday were kind of 3 to 5 seconds below standard for most races, which makes me think there wasn't much firm in the going. And they are forecast some showers from 2 p.m. onwards. Whether they materialise, we shall see. He won't mind if this goes softer, obviously, and actually if there are some showers, that would help. But the course and distance is fine. He's 1 from 9 over the course and distance. The jockey does well with Callum Rodriguez. He knows him well. The handicap mark is the reason why he went in also into the notebook, just because, as you can see there, in flat handicaps, turf handicaps, he's 5 from 14, 9 places when rated 70 or below, or running off a mark 70 or below, and that includes any jockey claims. He was dropped £2 after that solid run last time, and races off 66 here, and he's within range. That run at Pontefract gave the impression he still has plenty of ability, he's still got plenty of zest. He kind of tanked through the race a bit. Maybe he would have hoped they'd have gone a bit quicker, but he was a bit gassy. He may well have needed it. And yeah, it gave the impression that given where his handicap mark is now, if he could be well placed and they find a race for him, he does have a win in him on his next kind of 1 to 3 starts, hopefully. And we shall see if that materialises today. So yeah, all conditions are fine. There's not much else to say on that. He's handicapped to go well. He arrives in form. He comes from a hot form race. Michael Dodds is in form. Trainer and jockey are in form. Yeah, the course has course form. Of the exposed, been there and done it bunch, I think he is the most interesting, and we shall see if he can beat the 3-year-olds. Now, of course, they're getting a big weight for age allowance. The Mark Johnson horse, for example, was rated 76. He was £10 inferior, but is only carrying £1 more. They are immature, obviously. They're still growing. He does have some questions. So all 4 3-year-olds have questions. The Dalglish one's got more than most and is drifting and seems unfancied. The Kevin Ryan horse, for a kind of 3 to 1, 7 to 2 shot, he's still a maiden. I wasn't totally convinced with him under pressure last time, although he did bump into one for William Haggis, who was thrown in, and I think he won his next start also. and the front two were clear there. So I can see why he's leading the market, but he still does have stamina to prove, and he has to prove that he's got a winning attitude and that when he's in a scrap, he can put his head down. So for those reasons, I personally wouldn't want to dive in at 7-2 on that type of profile, and it's the type that I'm happy to take on. The David O'Meara horse may be the interesting one, but again, he's stepping into a handicap for the first time. He's stepping up in trip. He hasn't exactly been running in races that have worked out overly well. It's hard to tell if his mark of 72 is generous or not, especially given his Racing Post rating was only 70. I like to see them kind of above their mark to give some hope that they could be well handicapped, but this is third run of his life. He's unexposed. O'Meara's doing okay. He has a lot of runners these days, obviously. And yeah, you can see kind of him and Danny Tudhope's, well, yeah, they've done quite well at Ayr in the last year. That might be something, one of those little micro angles you may wish to jot down, but it could be significant when they team up here. So he looks interesting. The Johnston horse got upset in the stalls last time. I mean, again, his form's not bomb-proof. Oh, it's okay, and his RPRs are suggesting, especially 2 starts ago, that a mark of 76 may be within range. But again, he's running against hardy handicappers here. Whether that experience last time leaves a mark where he got upset in the stalls, then clipped heels, unseated rider. So obviously he's unexposed. I'm not going to fall off my seat if either of those 3 win. Of the 3, I don't. Maybe I'd edge towards the O'Meara horse at 5s, and he might be maybe worth some beer money to save. I'm not quite sure. I pondered going each way with 5th, 4 places with some bookmakers, and I wouldn't necessarily put you off doing so. I've decided in the end just to go on the nose 1 point, because I do fear those 3-year-olds, but at the same time, not enough, obviously, to want to take them on with an 8-year-old, who I suppose is a bit like an 11-year-old chaser. So we'll see if that works out well enough, if not older, well enough or not. But yes, he ticks plenty of boxes. I suppose I could look at pace. You can see the kind of pace maps here. Royal Regent stays further, can race free, so I expect he might be up there. There's lots of pace pushes, I suppose, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. Mustaqbal kind of chased the leaders and raced promptly last time. I wouldn't mind if he did that again. The draw seems to be fine. You can see the different stats here. I mean, it doesn't really matter where you are. 14 has won. Mustaqbal's in 11, no issues there from recent runs over course and distance. And yeah, if I look at the pace, you can look at the heat map on GG's, which is decent enough. If I sort that by draw, so 1 is on the inside rail, fanning outwards. Hopefully he can get out and then get across into a decent position, but he won't mind if he's a bit further back and kind of comes through horses. Yeah, there might be enough pace on, I think, and he's a 9-to-1 shot, so I'm not too worried about that. And actually settling in behind horses with cover may be no bad thing for him. So yeah, for want of repeating myself, he ticks a lot of boxes for an exposed flat handicap, especially his handicap mark is coming within a decent range as discussed, and he will be posted on the blog for his next 3 starts, and hopefully he'll get the job done in one of them if well placed. It maybe he needs to go into a 4-year-old plus handicap, and he might find weaker ones than this that he can run in. We shall see. But I thought it looked open enough on paper. I will finish, as I'm in GG's, with a look at the Instant Expert tab. Maybe for those of you who may wish to pause the video, do your own analysis, flick through some of these. You can see the ambers, the greens, the place stats in conditions, Mustaqbal along there. If the rains comes, it soften up. That would improve his chances further, but like I said, I won't use the ground as an excuse. The thing I would say is there's a lot of horses here that are now falling below their last winning handicap marks, and for those of you who like playing in kind of class 5, class 6 handicaps, it may be worth going through some of those horses, trying to identify their ideal conditions. Obviously, as a horse gets old, they regress a bit, and they need their marks to come down further than even below last winning marks, arguably, as their legs get a bit slower and they bump into younger rivals. But Some of these are getting within range and would suggest some of them could be noting when returning to form or whatever ideal conditions may be. Some of them look like they're a bit out of sorts at the moment, but we shall see how the race pans out. And with that said, as I tick around to 10 minutes, I should shut up and cross my fingers and hope Mustaqbal outruns his odds of 9-1 and that he can get his head in front and continue our little mini hot streak. And with that said, I will say best of luck, thanks for watching, and until the next time, bye for now.